Right. So forces two types, right? Balanced forces and unbalanced forces. Unbalanced forces means when I apply a force, if it moves, it can make a move වෙනවනම් මම දාන force එකට අනුව. ඒ කියන්නේ මම දීපු force එක it's an unbalanced force. Right? It's an unbalanced force. If it doesn't move, which means it's not an unbalanced force, we can say it's a balanced force, but that balanced force can term we don't use much. But you can just say balanced force, right? So if it is an unbalanced force, just specifically you need to mention that unbalanced force. So Newton's first law that it comes under unbalanced force, right? So some balanced force or there is no balance. Balance එකක් නැති වෙලාවට අපේ Newton's first law force එකක් නැති වෙලාවටත් we can use first Newton's first law. And also if the object has balanced force, we are applying slight force, but object doesn't affect from that. So then also we can use Newton's first law. Right? But then Newton's first law එකේ බලන්නකො ඒකේ definition එකේම තියෙනවා ඔයාලා බැලුවොත් 85th page එකේ until an unbalanced force is applied on it. Until an unbalanced force is applied on it. Unbalanced force එකක් නැතුව තමයි අපි Newton's first law කතා කරන්නේ. ඒක balance force එකක් වෙන්නත් පුළුවන්. Sometimes there is no force. කිසිම force එකක් නැතුවත් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒක යන්නේ under Newton's first law. But when there is unbalanced force, we use Newton's second law. Unbalanced force එකක් තියෙනවනම් මේ ටික හරියටම ගන්න. Well, this is very important when you solve questions, right? In physics, chemistry, basics are really important. Right? So questions they can ask in different ways, right? Different ways they can ask. But you need to focus on what the basic theory behind this question. Right? ඔයාට සමහරවිට උගන්වන එකම මොබ්ලේ ටීච් කරන එකම පේපර් එකෙන් එහෙම අහන්නේ නැහැ නිව්ටන්ගේ ෆස්ට් ලෝ එක සෙකන්ඩ් ලෝ. Those type of questions not coming. So they give the applications, right? The applications වලට ඔයාගේ අර brain එක train කරන්න ඕන. So we are doing test and question tape. We are practicing questions for that, right? So biology. Yeah. So biology is okay that you can study and right, but physics and chemistry not like that. So unbalanced force means, right? Unbalanced force means like that due to my force, that object is moving. Object එක move වෙනවා. Due to my force, මගේ force එක හින්දා that object is moving now. So we call that force as an unbalanced force. කියන්නේ object එකේ motion එකේ යම්කිසි difference එකක් වෙනවා. හිතන්න කාර් එකක් move වෙන කාර් එකක් කියලා. ඒතර move වෙන කාර් එකේ speed එක increase වෙනවා නම් so we are applying unbalanced force by pressing accelerator. If car speed is slowing, right? 40 km/h කියපො කාර් එක 20 වලට increase වුණා නම් then we take it as we are applying unbalanced force to the opposite direction. We are applying brake, right? We are applying brake. Brake කියන්නේ අනිත් පැත්තට unbalanced force එක. Right? So motion එකේ තියෙන motion එකේ difference එකක් වෙනවා. ඒ object එක rest එකේ නම් ඉන්නේ stationary නම් ඉන්නේ that object would move due to unbalanced force. If it is a moving object, that moving object speed of the velocity should be increase or decrease. Increase වෙන්න ඕනේ එහෙම නැත්නම් decrease වෙන්න. තියෙන motion එකේ තියෙන state එකේ object එක තියෙන state එකේ difference එකක් තියෙන්න ඕනේ අනිවාර්යෙන් if it is an unbalanced force. අර එහෙම තමයි unbalanced force එක අපිට introduce කරන්න වෙන්නේ. Just first write first point, right? Force is a push or a pull push or a pull on an object, on an object, on an object. වක්‍ර ඔබ්ජෙක්ට් එකක් තියෙන්න ඕනේ අපිට පුෂ් කරන්න හරි පුල් කරන්න හරි නිකන් කරන්න බෑනේ එයා එක පුල් කරන්න පුළුවන් ඕනේ but there is a there should be an object, right? So push or a pull on an object we call as a force. So the next point, right? Force is a vector quantity. Force is a vector quantity. Force is a vector quantity. Right. Then write unit කියලා දාලා Newton කියලා දාලා Newton unit just put unit equal Newton. Right. So ඊට පස්සේ යන්න next point just skip a rule, leave a rule එකක් කරලා ලියන්න ඊට පස්සේ when you apply a force sometimes it can change. When you apply a force, sometimes it can change the motion dash motion or state of an object that kind of force we called as unbalanced force. We call it as unbalanced force. Right? We call it as unbalanced force. Right? So since there is I'm recording this session because one student says he can't join because of some competition or something in his school. So I'll record. So because of that, just put your questions in the chat. I will take your questions. I will give you, if you really want to speak, I may give you time to ask questions. So at the end of the session. So within the session, if you have questions, just put in the chat. If I need some extra clarification about it, I will ask to unmute. Okay, so today is a live session, right? Totally live session, no recording. I decided to do this session live in evening because all here it's still only we have 3 registered students, so all 3 are agree with that time. Okay, so then write subtopic Newton's first law. Write a subtopic Newton's first law. Okay. So Newton's first law, what they say. First write the Newton's first law. I will just you can copy your book. 85th page you have Newton's first law. First write it and enclose it in red pen. Until an unbalanced force is applied on it, body is at rest, remain stationary, and body is in motion, moving at a constant velocity or uniform velocity. Right. So Newton's first law has two parts. Object at rest. Object at rest means velocity is zero. And the other one, object moving at a constant velocity. And 10 ms minus 1 moving at a constant velocity. Right? So it has two main parts, right? So, but the common thing is both these occasions, there is no unbalanced force. No unbalanced force. There is no unbalanced force. Okay. So, if there is no unbalanced force, object at rest will remain stationary. Remain stationary. Velocity zero. And since there is no unbalanced force, කවුරුත් තල්ලු කරන්න කෙනෙක් නෙවෙයි. or pull කරන්න or push කරන්න කෙනෙක් නෙවෙයි. In a considerable amount. Sometimes they can push or pull, but it is not an unbalanced force. Just the object taker, I just touch and give some force, but it is doesn't move because I'm applying not a unbalanced force. It's just a balanced force. Right? So if there is no unbalanced force, resting objects keep at rest and remain at rest. But here also, moving objects also keep or remain uniform velocity, which means same velocity, right? Equals 10 ms minus 1. Right? Velocity also doesn't change. But this part, right side taking, this part is not the true in real world, right? This is not true in real world. Newton laws වල තියෙන පොඩි issue එකක් තමයි. Some laws are not applicable in real world. Right? Then make that okay if the surface has no frictional force. I think sometimes you have learned about frictional force also in school now. Then frictional force zero, now this is okay, right? But we know every surface in the real world has a frictional force. We can there is a frictional force. But a smooth tile like that, there will be a frictional force. Right? Small එකක් හරි තියෙනවා. ඒ නිසා දැන් හිතන්න ඔයා බෝල් එකක් මොකක් හරි මේ ටයිල් එකක් උඩ මූව් කරා කියන්නේ. After some time it will stop නේ. ඒක move වෙවි දිගටම තියෙන්නේ. At some point, after some time, it becomes into zero, right? Its velocity comes into zero. That happens because there's a friction force on every surface, right? ඒක අර higher frictional force and lower frictional force කියන එක අපිට ඒක change කරගන්න පුළුවන්. But friction zero කියලා එකක් නෑ. So because of that, this part, moving in a constant velocity remains uniform velocity. Moving objects remain in the constant velocity කියන second part එක Newton's first law එකේ it's not applicable or in real world, right? Real world එකේ ඔක apply වෙන්නේ නැහැ, but it doesn't ask in questions in O levels. but දැනගෙන ඉන්නේ එක සමහරලාට ඔයාලට question එකක් එන්න පුළුවන් friction force වෙනවනම් how this happens කියන. That's why I explained. Sometimes after frictional force lesson, you will get a question in Newton's first law. We learn like that, but how it happens? Because every surface has a friction. So then that velocity must decrease, right? Must decrease. Do any more. Anyway, Newton's first law, we do calculations. In calculations, mostly you have questions like in brackets, so sometimes within the question also they give consider the surface as zero friction. Zero friction surfaces normally in O levels, A levels also they give. University level you get advanced questions then, but in O levels, definitely you get surfaces zero friction. Then you can Newton first law. No issue, you can apply. Right? Definitely you can apply. Right, okay. Any issues, any questions? Yeah, and you can get this chart. Right? And get this chart. Here also I will write no unbalanced force. No unbalanced force. Use colors and it will be easy for study when you go to exam. Kulandra Ahana, Kulandra why this happened, why here question again, very important once you learn science. When you finish, just put thumbs up. Don't write this one. Write it down. I put the thumbs up. So finish. Okay, then we finish. Okay, so then you have few practical scenarios under Newton's first law, but those are actually Newton's first law එකම නෙමෙයි. Newton's second law, third law also involved for that incident. But anyway, keep one page for those scenarios to describe. I will give for note for that. But before that, keep one page. I think will be enough for that. If it is not enough, you can just add some half page like the bottom. Just keep one page and we'll go move to Newton's second law. After finishing Newton's second law, also I will come to that part because I think for better understanding, much better Newton's second law එකත් ඉවර කරන එක. Right. So write the topic after leaving one page for that practical scenarios. Then we write Newton's second law. Newton's first law again, calculations calculations maybe, but in A levels you have some calculations, but in O levels, no. Just you need to study that first law definition and that practical scenarios. Right. So here, in Newton's second law, then මෙච්චරලා Newton's first law එකෙන් කතා කරේ when there is a no unbalanced force, then object at rest keeps stationary, remains stationary, and moving objects are moving at a constant velocity. So unbalanced force එකක් නැති time එක තමයි we discussed, right? But in second law, we discuss about unbalanced force. When there is unbalanced force, what happened for the object? What happened? What can happen? වැඩ දෙකක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. එකක් object එක accelerate වෙන්න පුළුවන්. Acceleration means positive acceleration. Positive acceleration means what? මේකෙදි මොකද වෙන්නේ? Velocity increase, right? Velocity and speed increase. And the other thing, if there is unbalanced force, මේක වෙන්නේ unbalanced force එක motion එක පැත්තටම නම් තියෙන්නේ. Force එකයි motion direction එකයි same now, then acceleration, positive acceleration, then velocity increase, right? But your unbalanced force against the motion now, so motion එක මේ direction එකට දුන්නා, but force එක යන අනිත් direction එකට. So then it will be a negative acceleration, or we call that what? We call that deceleration. Or sometimes in questions they mention this as retardation. So here what happened? Velocity decreased. So, but then මේකට unbalanced force acceleration එකට unbalanced force වගේම තව fact එකක් තියෙනවා. What is that? ඒ තමයි object එකේ mass එක. Right? Mass. Right? mass එක increase වෙනවා නම් what happened? Acceleration decrease. Acceleration decrease. Mass decrease වෙනවා නම් acceleration of the object increase, right? Make positive acceleration increase. Right? Again, inversely proportional relationship එකක් තමයි මෙතන mass එකයි acceleration එක. But mass and acceleration and the unbalanced force having what? Direct proportional relationship. වැඩි වෙනකොට වැඩි වෙනවා අඩු වෙනකොට අඩු වෙනවා. Right. Can you first write the definition? The acceleration of a body is directly proportional to the unbalanced force acting on it, while it is inversely proportional for the mass. So quickly write the definition and enclose it. Right. After finishing that, so if they indicate currently normally in science, it's unbalanced force, right? Unbalanced force එක capital F වලින් indicate කරන්නේ. So motion එකේ direction එකටම unbalanced force එකක් තියෙනවා නම් positive acceleration එකක්. So velocity increase වෙනවා. Motion එකේ direction එකට against non-unbalanced force, then negative acceleration, we call that as deceleration or retardation. What happened for the velocity? Velocity decrease. So write this after writing the definition. Right, here you have all the most important things regarding the Newton's second law. Right? This chart is really important. Once you do questions, it's really important for you. All these words are very important. And after writing this, then write this one also. Just put a horizontal line here and then write this one. Mass take the relationship with the. Once you finish, just put the thumbs up. Okay, we will finish around. Okay, so then we have to get an equation for Newton's second law. F equals m here, we can have then a heavy bulb, how it moves. Right. So then we got, force directly proportional for the acceleration. Acceleration directly proportional for the unbalanced force. And the other one is, acceleration directly proportional for the unbalanced force, and acceleration inversely proportional for the mass. Inversely proportional to mass. Right. So එතකොට දැන් මේක left side දෙපැත්තම equal. එතකොට maths වල rule එකක් තියෙනවා. අපිට පුළුවන් මේක left side එක A කියලා අරන්. Then මේ පැත්ත combine කරන්න. F නේ උඩ පාන්නේ නේ. ඔව්. හරි. A is proportional sign and then unbalanced force divided by A. So then මේ proportional sign එක තියාගෙන it can't work, can't help us. Then what we can do is we can apply a constant. Right? We can apply a constant. Right? So maths වල තියෙනවා constant කියලා જાතියක්. You will learn when you do bio maths. You will learn constant in combined maths, I think. Physics වල but in combined maths mainly you will learn those constant. Here also we use a constant. That constant value is constant near there. Constant value is 1. Right? Constant value is 1. When you apply a constant, you can change this proportional sign to equal sign. Right? Proportional sign නෙමෙයි equal sign එක මාරු කරන්න පුළුවන්. يعني මෙහෙම අපි නිකන් constant එකට මම නිකන් දාගන්නවා capital C කියන symbol එක. Then I can write A equal C into F divided by M. Normally even the So I apply constant here and I change the sign also, proportional sign to equal sign. Right? Constant එකත් එක්ක වෙනස් වෙනවා. ඒක දැන් එළිය තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ, but don't worry. Only the constant I use වෙන්නේ එකම එක time එකයි in O level syllabus in only in this reading this x equals m. Second law එක prove කරන්න තමයි ඉන්නේ. ආයෙ you will meet this constant in A levels. So බය වෙන්න එපා මේක. Yeah, this is the last time, first and last time you meet a constant. So then this constant value is 1. So then we can write A equals 1 into F divided by M. Right? So the textbook way is quite complicated sometimes, but if you understand that, also it's also fine. Same method. I also use the same method, but textbook එකේ තියෙන විදිය පොඩ්ඩක් complicated. But you can use 8 steps ටික ලියන්නත් පුළුවන්. Once they ask questions like for prove that Newton's second law. But this one also same thing. Then within a 1, then no need to write 1. Then you can write A equals F divided by M. So then you have a formula M into A equals F. Right? This F equals M. Right? So normally I can be F equals M. Nice. Right. So when the main equation again, we have to solve some questions. So read the textbook also for under Newton's second law. May make our descriptive විදියට ලියලා තියෙනවා. But ඉච්චර ඕනේ මේක අහපු එක පාස් පේපර් එකක්වත් නෑ දැනට. නිසා ගොඩාක් අපි ටයිප් එක දාන්න ඕනේ මේක describe කරන්න. Just write this, and if you have any questions, you can just ask. Yeah, we use constant mostly for change the sign. Mostly in my experience also in A levels time also we use constant for change proportional sign. Once we get proportional sign for something, then we use equal sign and change the we use a constant and change this proportional sign to equal sign. But most මේ 1 වෙන්නේ හැමතිස්සෙම සමහරවිට 2 වගේ වෙන්න පුළුවන් 3 4 වගේ values උත් වෙන්න පුළුවන් but I met only 1 and 2 only in my time but the biology කරලා තියෙන so physics chemistry and biology, but maths combined maths කරපු කෙනෙක් ඊට වඩා මේ හම්බෙලා ඇති එයාලා maths වල තියෙනවා වගේ concepts. We finished just thumbs up. Then do the exercise 4.1. 4.1, there is a table. So quickly take that table and finish it. Okay, fill කරන්න 4.1 after finish this. 4.1. Again, first one table. Just take the table in your book. පොතේ අරගෙන මේ complete කරන්න මට answers send කරන්න ඕන නෑ. Just you did and I'll tell you the answers there. Right, finish. First again 3 into 6, 3 into 2, then 6 Newton. 6 Newton. Right. Then second again 40 Newton. එතකොට 10 again 4 ms minus 2. ms minus 2. The acceleration ms minus 2. What then ms minus 1 නෙවෙයි. Then third again 30 Newton again. Third Newton 1.5. So 30 divided by 1.5. Then again 300 divided by 15. Again 20 kilograms. 20 kilograms. Then again 2 Newton. Then only 500 kilograms. Then it's 0.0 toward 0, 20, 0, 200 toward 0, 2000 toward 4, ms minus 2. Last letter. Just simple calculations. Yeah, 10F equals MA1. But okay, hard questions තියෙනවා. O-level past paper study කරද්දී බලමු. O-level past paper essay questions and structured questions I will include into your monthly test papers. In grade 11 we do it weekly, but in grade 10 only monthly. So I'll include those essay questions because most of the questions you can't do now. Still we complete 3 lessons. But we may lesson එකයි motion එකේ question එකක් තිබ්බා. I put that into the monthly test and I will give you a discussion for that also. Once I after check your all papers with your errors, I will do a discussion session also. It will be a mostly a recording. Live time I'll give you a recording. Okay. Then we'll move to our leave කරාන page එකක් අපි එතනට යමු. දැන් නිව්ටන් first law දන්නවා, second law එකක් දන්නවා. දැන් අපි බලමු මේකේ තියෙන මේ scenarios. මේකේ මේ carrot disk එකක scenario එකක් තියෙනවා. දැන් ඒක directly Newton first law, second law and also friction එකත් apply වෙනවා. Then why we put powder or talc into the surface carrom board? Because to reduce friction, friction reduce කරන්න තමයි we use powder. And so when you hit the disc, what happened? You apply an unbalanced force. You apply an unbalanced force. Then start to increase its velocity. Velocity increase well. Then what happened once it hit on another disc? What happened? It reduces its velocity. Then it goes in a deceleration and finally comes into 0. Right? You got to move everything. After some time, it comes into 0. Right? Because you apply powder, it's true, but මම කිව්වාගේ friction එක reduce කරන්න විතරයි අපිට පුළුවන්. Zero කරන්න බැහැ. ඒ තමයි current discharge. It comes into zero. And also once he hit in the board එකේ අර edges වල වැදුන ගමන් මේ velocity කොහොමද decrease වෙනවා. Direction එක change වෙනවා. Then even on decrease වෙනවා. And finally කොහොමද surface friction එකත් එක්ක it comes to zero. It comes to zero. right ඉතින් ඕක මේ දැන් උතන describe කරලා තියෙනවා second එකේදී බලන්න the fraction of talcum powder on the board is to reduce the resistive forces extend on the disc on the carom board. The resistive force that opposes the motion and object on surface is called friction. If by some means we could make the friction force equal to zero, the disc would move without stopping. Highlight the part. If by some means we could make the frictional force equal to zero. මේ කියන්නේ 86 page එකේ second paragraph එකේ last line. If by some means we could make the frictional force equal to zero, the disc would move without stopping. The disc would move without stopping. උතන කියන්නේ ඉතින් මේ මොකද අපි කියන්නේ imaginary situation එකක් තමයි finally කියලා තියෙන්නේ. මේක zero වුණොත් frictional force එක ගන්න powder bottles ගණන් හැලුවා කියලා ගන්න. ඒ ඉතින් ඔක zero වෙන්නේ නැහැ. 0.0.11 මොකක් හරි value එකක් remain වෙනවා. 0.01 හරි 0.001 friction force is there. You can't get into zero. The mechanic, කොහොම හරි වා zero කරා කියන්නේ powder bottle 100ක් විතර වුණා. Then මොකද වෙන්නේ? අන්න Newton's first law එක we can apply. There is no unbalanced force, which means there is no frictional force, then that motion continues in a constant velocity, uniform velocity. ඒක ඉතින් imaginary situation එක right එතකොට ඔක explain කරද්දී දැන් exam එකේ අහලා explain කරද්දී කෙලින්ම Newton first law එකෙන් මේක describe කරන්න යන්න එපා. එහෙම කරන්න බෑ right. මේක Newton first law එකෙන් තිබ්බට under that but you can't explain it only using Newton's first law. You need to use Newton's second law because you apply unbalanced force and then it start to move. Then you can describe on what? Frictional force. Friction එක ගැන කියනවා. Friction එක reduce කරනවා. But anyway we can't get into zero. Then velocity tend to become zero. But if the frictional force being to zero, friction එක zero වුණොත් then what happens? This motion will be continuing in constant velocity. Constant velocity again, continue වෙන්න පුළුවන්. Friction zero not. Right? Clear? මේක explain කරන්න ඕනොත් ඒ විදිහට explain කරන්න. අර artificially explain කරන්න යන්න එපා. දැන් ඔයා දන්නවා Newton's first law, second law and friction also you will learn later next lesson. So I thought I was combined කරලා හොඳ answer එකක් ලියන්න. Most of the students that this is mentioned on the first law, so just they describe only using first law, but actually you can't use first law at first. Because it's first law can apply imaginary situation. දැන් ඔයා force එක apply කරන්න කලින් පුළුවන්. Newton's first law apply කරන්න. Because there is no unbalanced force now. The disk at rest remains stationary. මුලින්ම උත්තර කියන්න පුළුවන්. Then Newton's second law through ගිහිල්ලා frictional force through ගිහිල්ලා then that in an imaginary situation we can say first law we can apply that motion continuous at uniform velocity. ලියන්න question එකක් in that page first මේ උඩින්ම ලියන්න Q1 කියලා දාලා describe the motion of a carom disc once you striking on it once you strike on it describe the motion of a carom disc once you strike on it right then the next example මොකක්ද ඒකට just leave some 4-5 lines then you have a situation that daily life just go to third paragraph that says let us consider another example that we experience in daily life connected to this law. Suppose a passenger is standing on a moving bus without holding anything for support. දැන් ඔය බස් එක යනවා උඩින් අර බායක අල්ලන්න නැතුව යනවා කියන්නේ ඒ වගේ. If the bus suddenly stops by applying brakes, the passenger would fall towards the forward direction. What's the reason for this? Right? Right? So, how we can explain this scenario? Brakes apply කරාම ඔබ දැන් practical වලට experience කරලා ඇති ඔය බස් එකේ private bus වල එහෙම තියෙනවා නම් mostly they are applying brakes suddenly then තවලට මොනකට ඉවරයි. What happened? So why you move forward once he applied sudden brake? So make first line එක බලන්න since his feet were in contact with floorboard of the bus, the floorboard exerts a resistive force on the feet and brings the feet to rest. Right? So then the person's feet contact with the bus surface, right? Surface එක touch වෙලා තියෙනවා. Then what happened for the bus? Its velocity becomes zero in a very sudden period. Maybe then 50 comes into zero in a 2-3 seconds. Right? So what then අපේ body එකත් normally once you travel on a bus, your body also in same velocity. The bus එක 50 now, your body also in 50 ms minus 1. Right? Otherwise, you can't travel on a bus, right? That's why like people දැකලා සමහරවිට අර bus එකකින් බහිද්දී boys ලා males doing that. Once the bus is slowing, they get down and running forward, right? Because that upper body can't goes into zero velocity in a sudden period. The part and the females name අර බස් එක දැන් නවත්තන්න නැතුව යන්න අදින්න හදනවා. ඒකට බහින්න සමහරවිට just ඒගොල්ලෝ කෙලින්ම බහින්න වැටෙනවා. Fall because your body is in bus velocity, right? So you can't suddenly turns into zero, right? It takes some time. That's why මේස් නම් ඉස්සරහට move වෙලා තමයි බහින්නේ. You then becomes into zero velocity. ඒ වගේ වැඩක් තමයි මෙතන කරන්නේ. දැන් මේ බස් එක suddenly brake apply කරද්දී your lower body is contact with the bus surface. Then your lower body doesn't affect much on this brake apply. And මේ brake apply කරාට lower body එකට ලොකු damage එකක් වෙන්නේ. But upper body it doesn't contact with any bus devices like මොකක් හරි bike හරි මේ touch වෙලා නැහැ. Then upper body can't becomes into zero suddenly. This velocity then 15 in 50 or 0 ගේන්න බෑ. ඒ නිසා වෙන්නේ body එක move වෙනවා forward. body එක ටිකක් move වෙනවා forward. ඔක ගොඩාක් sudden වුණාම sudden brake apply එකදී this happens very weirdly, right? සමහරවිට ගිහිල්ලා ඉස්සරහා seat එකේ වදිනවා. car එක නම් seat belt නැතුව ඉන්නවා නම් නැත්නම් ගිහිල්ලා dashboard එකේ වදිනවා. then සමහර death ගොඩක් වෙන්නේ accidents වලදී ඔය reason එක එකක්. ඉන්නා head එකනේ වදින්නේ. it damage and causing bleeding and the internal damage. Right? Your upper body can't go into zero in a sudden movement. Your vehicle can, because it's a mechanical one. Your vehicle can suddenly, once you apply brakes, but your body can't. The the floorboard exerts a resistive force on the feet and brings the feet to rest. Since no such force is exerted on the upper parts of the body, their velocity carries him forward. He falls in the forward direction because of this. Because of this. අනිත් එක තමයි මේ lower body එක මෙතන resistive frictional force එකකුත් තියෙනවා. ඒකේ frictional force එකක් involve වෙනවා මෙයාව hold කරන් ඉන්න. But sometimes that frictional force is also not enough. Right? මොනවද බස් වලින් ඉස්සරහට විසි වෙලා මේ brake apply කරද්දී එල්ටගෙන ඉන්න මේ because the lower body also can't, this friction force also can't bear his body, and it moves upper body and lower body both. සමහරවිට upper body එක lower body එක මේ ලොකු margin එකකින් shift වුණොත් එහෙම ආගේ වෙයි. abdominal area එකට damage වෙන්න පුළුවන්. so එතකොට lower body එක මේ එහෙමත් යනවා ඉස්සරහා. lower body එක internal organs නිසා it's also move forward. And the other thing, friction is not enough to hold with his legs. But body brake apply, make okay. His lower body can hold, but upper body moves forward. The Newton laws telling how to explain. Then brake applying brake means it comes under Newton's second law. Newton's second law is brake apply करने के. Then मेरा motion nega. That Newton's first law then. Resting now, resting okay. Bus rest now. Its body also in resting motion. But if the bus is moving, its body also in that bus velocity. Right? Actually, here there is no part describing uniform velocity, because if the bus driver is not applying accelerating or decelerating, he can move like this. Right? Bus velocity is equal to his body velocity. He is moving at a constant velocity. But the bus driver applying acceleration or brakes, accelerator or brakes, then there should be an unbalanced force. There should be an unbalanced force, and it causing some forward motion or backward motion. Backward motion එන්නේ කොහොමද? Backward motion එකක් වෙන්නේ. අර experience කරලා තියෙනවද නැත්නම් suddenly bus එකක් start කරලා move වුණොත් then you move backward, right? Because your body is at rest. Currently your body is at rest. ඔයා හිතන්නේ ඔයා just හිතනවා වීඩියෝ එකක් බල බල ෆෝන් එකේ ඉන්නවා බස් එකේ නේ. බස් එක හෝල්ට් එකේ නා හෝල්ට් එකේ බස් ස්ටෑන්ඩ් එකේ නවත්තලා තියෙන්නේ. Now you are just watching a video or playing a video game. Suddenly the driver comes and start and you are also wearing headphones, then you can't hear much. You don't know about drivers come. So then start and suddenly he accelerate. Then what happened? Your body is at rest. So your body can't get that, accept that acceleration suddenly, then your body moves backward. After some time, body also comes to the same velocity as bus, but initially move backward. That happened. Right? ඔය දෙක තමයි ඇත්තටම තියෙන්නේ scenarios විදිහට describe කරන්න. අරකට 5 rules තියලා then right, next question. When you travel on a bus, if the bus suddenly stops by applying brakes, the passenger would fall towards the forward direction. What's the reason for that? What's the reason for that? I think you could write. Then leave 5 rules live. Then write last question, the Q3. මේකම copy කරන්න එපා. දැන් answer එකලියදී don't copy this exactly, but get some idea on this also. And use your own knowledge on Newton's first law and second law. And also you can use AI also to search on this topic much. On practical scenarios හම්බුනහම අනිවාර්යෙන් science වල check AI also. AI එකනොත් ගන්න idea එකක්, because ඒක important way once you do papers ලියද්දි. මොකද ඒගොල්ලෝ ගොඩාක් describe කරලා දෙනවා text mode එකේ text විදියට ගන්න. දැන් ඒක read කරන්න, then you will get good understanding about these situations. හරි, මොකද ඒ time limitation එකක් නැහැ. ඔයාලට ගන්න පුළුවන් වුණ තරම් අරගෙන ඔයාලට තේරෙන්නේ නැත්නම් if you can't understand it, just explain this please again with a simple example. Then he explains simply. AI පුළුවන් තරම් use කරන්න, because people using these tools now. If you are not using those tools, then you go backward. The world is going really fast. It is moving really fast with AI, and also students also. Then මේ පාර bio violent first that the student ගාලා දැක්කද නේ podcast එකක් එහෙම තිබ්බා, and also some speeches also in YouTube. එයා එහෙම class එකකට කියපු කෙනෙක් නෙමෙයි. එයා first 2 years තියෙනවනේ A levels වලට. ඒක first year එකෙන්ම syllabus theory ඔක්කොම fully complete කරලා එකේ class වලට ගිහින්. Then the second year fully he did full papers. Get the experience and practice. So that is really important. ඔය ඒකනේ ගොඩක් අය සමහර අය O level කාලේදී A level class වලින් theory cover කරනවා. Then that A level period only doing papers කරලා කරන මැද්ද So you guys also need to do more papers, maybe more questions to practice these concepts. ලියලා ඒව වරදින ඒවා mark කරන්න red pen එකෙන්. Then I will also put some other papers as well, some school papers, provincial papers. If you have any issues, just question එකත් එක්ක just send me the question, your question. Then I will put a quick video or like voice message, or I will put how to solve that. Right? There are Lantran Karamu. But finally, A is our target. A, good A, like 80 plus, 85 plus A is our target. Right. Then the third question, right? I got a 5 rules of here. Then right. If the bus suddenly start to move, if the bus suddenly start to move, the passenger move backward. Passenger moves backward. Explain the reason for that. Explain the reason for that. Explain the reason for that. Right, okay. So I got the remaining space for that. And over then car එකකට වගේ apply කරලා seat belt. And when you are wearing seat belt, what happened? Your upper body also touch with the car. Right? car එකේ object එකක් එක්ක ඔයාගේ upper body එක touch වෙලා තියෙනවා. Right? And also there's a restriction. So then your body can go zero very quickly with the car. car එකත් එක්කම zero යන්න පුළුවන්. මොකද car restrict වෙලා තියෙනවා. hold වෙලා තියෙනවා. එමත් නැති වෙලාවකට තමයි air bag එක useful වෙන්නේ. Seat belt එකත් tolerate කරගන්න බැරි නම් then you move forward, then suddenly air bag will pop up and save you. Right. But I think that is not recommended thing. Air bag ගැන believe කරන් යන්න එපා යද්දී. පුළුවන් තරම් අර speed එක යන්න. Because then have you heard vinyl manic? අහවල්. එයාගේ son hari daughter hari, I don't know who, I think son. එයාව එහෙම accident වුණා Mercedes Benz එකක්, but that moment that airbag is not working. airbag එක වැඩ කළේ නැහැ. Mercedes Benz දැන් Benz එකක් වගේ ගන්නෙත් කට්ටිය the safety options and comfortable යන්න පුළුවන්. අනිත් එක තමයි safety. normal Alto car එකකුයි Benz එක ගත්තාම අර ඒකේ main point එකක් තමයි මේ safety options කියන්නේ. but ඉතින් එයාගෙන් වෙලාවට that airbag is not work. So he died. don't know දැන් මේ within minutes නම් කේස් එකකුත් ෆයිල් කරලා තිබ්බා Benz company එකට against මේ ඔයාලේ පාටක. ඒ කියන්නේ production එකේ failure එකක් කියනවා. That can happen, right? BMW not sometimes for high speed it can sometimes doesn't work. So example, you can control your speed with accelerator and the brakes pads. So your control is really important, and wear seat belts properly. Now most of the vehicles having beeps and things like to indicate you, and also police also check. Police cops also checking. So now most of the people wearing seat belts, but that පිටිපස්සේ යන අය ගොඩක් වෙලාවට seat belt wear කරන්නේ නැහැ. ගොඩක් risk එකක් තියෙනවා. ගොඩක් most of the يعني mid range cars වල සමහරවිට පිටිපස්සේ airbags only First two have airbags. There's a risk. Right, okay. Just read this carefully, two times. Then close the book and write your answer. Right? Don't copy paste. Start improve in exam you lose marks. So read two, three times and write the answers. Okay. Again, come back to end of Newton's second law and write the subtopic Newton's third law. Newton's third law. If you have any questions, just ask. For more third law. And Newton's third law is the easiest one, right? Newton's third law is the easiest one. In O levels, right? O levels are easy method, but in A levels it's not like that. But in O levels, this will be the easiest one. What is the Newton's third law? Very just one line. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Equal and opposite, right? Magnitude wise, it's equal, but direction wise, it's opposite. So, right, right, and close it. Right. Right. Then write with a star mark. An action means a force exerted by a force exerted by an object exerted by an object on another object on another object. Right. Then reaction is a force exerted on the first object. Exert reaction කියන එක separate point එකකින් ලියන්න. Reaction is a force exerted on the first object by the second object. By the second object. පොතේ තියෙන lines දෙයක්ම කියවේ. If you couldn't write it, just copy it and highlight that in your book. Right? So what happened here? Then best example is swimming. Swimming what happened? You push the water backward by using your hands. Then what happened? The water gives you a force to forward direction. Then you move forward. Forward direction move. Right? Common examples. Every action has a reaction. What happened once you hit on a wall or board or something? You feel pain, right? You feel pain. So if you hit lightly, you also feel less pain. But when you hit hard, then your pain also increase. Because well, action hit. But the bolt taking second object bolt taking against then on reaction වෙනවා. ඒතකොට ඒක equal වෙනවා අපේ action එක. ඒකයි මම හිමින් ගහද්දී I got very little pain. But when you hit hard, when I hit hard, I get a lot of pain because of Newton's third law. Okay? So actually, Newton's third law in the නෙමෙයි, but that incident we can explain using Newton's third law, right? එතකොට rocket එකක් මේක ගන්න පුළුවන්. දැන් rocket එක engine එක burn fuel burn කර what happen it pulls the air downward, right? So the air gives a upward thrust, upward force to move this rocket upward. ඔය විදිහට දැන් හැම ඉන්සිඩන්ට් එකක්ම එක්ස්ප්ලেইন කරන්න පුළුවන්. දැන් ගන්න ඔබ්ජෙක්ට් එකක් මෙන්න මේක නම් ගොඩක් යූස් වෙනවා. and ගොඩක් අය පත් කරන්න යනවා. ඒ ඔබ්ජෙක්ට් එකක් ගන්න. මේ ඔබ්ජෙක්ට් එකේ මොනවද forces? ඔබ්ජෙක්ට් එක press මේකේ velocity එක 0. velocity 0 නම් friction එකකුත් නැහැ. But what are the forces? One is weight. Weight is one. Right? The weight එකට against the force එකක් අනිවාර්යෙන් තියෙන opposite එක. ඒක තමයි මොකද්ද? Reaction. The reaction force comes from the surface. Surface saying any reaction force. So this object keep at rest horizontally, vertically due to this equation. W equals R. W is weight, R is reaction force. Ground reaction force, normal reaction force, perpendicular reaction force. We can learn that in friction. Yeah. If those two forces are not equal, what happens? Then W R then it goes downwards. I mean, if the R is higher than W, then this object moves upward. Object moving upwards. R increase on. But it is equal here. Then it keeps at rest. අපි earth එක මේ පොළොව උඩ ඉන්නේ ඒ විදිහට තමයි. අපේ weight එකයි and the force reaction force given by the surface are equal. එකම equal නිසා තමයි එහෙම වෙන්නේ. Right. So you wrote Newton's third law definition and what is action, reaction. Then there is a balloon in page number 91. Can you draw that? That first one, figure 4.7. Quickly draw 4.7. Okay, once you finish, just thumbs up. 9:37. Veron, fish or not? Doing a fish. Okay. Then write question. Question again. Explain three practical scenarios. Explain three practical scenarios that you experience Newton's third law. Newton's third law. Right?
Today, I came to Dubai.
Okay. So then practical scenarios තුනක් explain කරන්න. ඔය swimming අර මං බෝඩ් එකට හිට් කරපු ඒ වගේ මොකක් හරි සිටුේෂන් එකක්. තව ආය rowing වගේ එකක්. Book also mentioned that rowing වගේ එකක්. Any three examples mentioned, and once you complete your note, send me, then I'll check. Right? Next week, no class, right? Next week, no class. I think I updated your Google Sheets and send me an email. I will share you that with you. So I'll put all the updates there, your marks and your class, how your classes are going on and my payments, those things. So එතකොට next week wedding. My wedding is on 14th, so then no class on next Saturday. But from 23rd, from 23rd we can continue. 23rd, and 30th also I think we'll do 30th, when the Vesak Power is coming. But anyway, I hope to do that session because leaves දෙකක් ගන්න එක not good for completing our syllabus. So anyway, online class, you can just try to attend live class. Yeah. 30th also you can do. 23rd, 16th තමයි තොර class එක hot day. It's a holiday for you. Yeah. Okay, then write subtopic momentum. 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 What is momentum කියන එක? Momentum means actually the ability of stopping a moving object, right? Moving object එක stop කරන්න තියෙන ability එක. ඕක අනිත් පැත්තක් තියෙනවා. Resting object එක move කරන්න තියෙන difficulty එකත් අපි කියනවා momentum කියලා. But that is not mentioned in your book. ඇත්තටම ගත්තොත් මොමන්ටම් එකේ ওই දෙපැත්තම තියෙනවා. Moving object එකක් stop කරන්න තියෙන difficulty එකයි, resting object එකක් move කරන්න තියෙන difficulty එකයි දෙකම මේ momentum කියලා ගන්නවා. But in your book they say momentum of a moving object is a measure of how difficult it is to stop the motion of that body. Stop the motion of that body. Right. හරි. ලියන්න ඒක definition එක ලියන්න. Momentum of a moving body is a measure of how difficult it is to stop the motion of that body. Stop the motion of that body. හරි. හිතන්න කායක කොයි. Finish, right? කායක කොයි. Train එකකුයි. දෙකම move වෙනවා කියන්නේ දැන් කියන්නේ හිතන්න මේ parallel මේ railway line එකකුයි. ඊට parallel තව මේ carpet road එකකුයි තියෙනවා කියන්නේ. ඕක experience කරන්න පුළුවන් gold road එකේ ඉන්න. gold road එකේ ගිහිල්ලා තියෙනවා නම් railway එකයි road එක දෙකම parallel යන තැන තියෙනවා. හරි. එතකොට දැන් හිතන්න එකපාරට තව මොකක් හරි ඔබ්ජෙක්ට් එකක් ගන්න ෆුට් සයිකල් එකක් කියන ෆුට් සයිකල් එකකට යන්න බෑ. දැන් මිනිස්සෙක් human කෙනෙක් කියන එක human one human goes across the road and the railway line. Right? So both vehicles try to stop. ස්ටොප් කරන්න හදන දෙකම තියෙන්නේ 40 mph -1 කියන්නේ යාගේ දැනට තියෙන ස්පීඩ් එක මොන ඔබ්ජෙක්ට් එකකටද පුළුවන් යාගේ වෙහිකල් එක මොන ඩ්‍රයිවර්ටද පුළුවන් ස්ටොප් කරන්න කායකද ට්‍රේන් එකද හරි දෙකම 40 mph -1 ඉස්සරහින් කෙනෙක් cross කරන road එක both railway and carpet road both. So which object can stop and save that human's life? Where on? Cow train. කායකද train එකද? Which one can stop? Car, right? Car can be stopped, right? Why? Because its mass is less than train. Mass එක less than train. So මොකද momentum එකට two factors affect වෙනවා. Momentum එක p වලින් indicate කරනවා. මේකට two factors affect වෙනවා. එකක් mass and velocity. දැන් මම කියපු විදිහට velocity is equal in both objects. Velocity is equal. But mass can be different. Mass can be different. Right? Mass can be different. So the mass එක different වෙනදා එතකොට mass එක අඩුවෙන් තියෙන එකේ momentum එක low. Right? Momentum එක low. Then it can easily stop. Right? So ඕක තමයි ඒක තමයි train accidents ගොඩක් වෙන්නේ reason එකක් ඒ train එකක් stop කරන්න බෑ ලේසියෙන්. ලොකු distance එකක් තියෙන්න ඕන. යා brake තියනවා තමයි brake ගෙවුවොත් එකපාරට බෑ. එහෙම sudden brake apply කරොත් එහෙම අර තියෙන coaches ඔක්කොම ඇවිල්ලා it's a vast damage. Right? එක human කෙනෙක්ව බේරන්න අතන 100-200 people will die. Right? ඒ නිසා යා brake apply කරන්න little by little. So he needs some distance to come to zero. Right? ඒ නිසා තමයි ගොඩාක් accidents වෙන්නේ. ඒතකොට වෙනාට damage එක high. හරි momentum කියන එක ලිව්වද? Then write this one. Before that, let's write momentum equals mass into velocity. Mass into velocity. And then encloses. And always mass is used in kilograms. SI take kilograms, kilograms. Velocity measured in ms minus 1. ms minus 1. Kilograms and ms minus 1. Momentum described as B. I also don't know that. I'll take another. This question for me also, but I also couldn't Google it. Just type in AI and ask why P. Because mostly we use first letter, mm, first letter, capital M. That is not used. Just ask from the AI. That's interesting question. I also don't know actually. Here Veron put. Is this a private message? The choice of the letter P for momentum is rooted in the historical context of scientific terminology. The term impetus was used in the scientific community to describe the property of moving objects, and the letter P was taken from the core letter P in the term. The choice was logical as it was letter of the term pentum, momentum, which was used in English to describe momentum. The P was used in the Latin. Yeah, this comes from Latin word. Okay? So most of the words they have scientific names. Scientific names of they were and humans like the Homo sapiens. My scientific name makeup. You can learn that in second term. We have that lesson also. Second book. So I think එතනදී Latin words තමයි ගොඩක් use වෙන්නේ. English වලට කලින් science කියන එක මුලින්ම කොහෙන්ද මේකේ breeding area එක science කියන එකේ western science western medicine Europe Europe වල main language එක ඕනේ ancient Europe Latin language. So most of the words come from that Latin word. In Asian countries, we have Pali, Sanskrit, and Chinese languages, those. But in India, in India also Hindi language. But Hindi, I think modern, no? Pali and Sanskrit are mostly. Sanskrit and Pali parallelly go with Latin. ඒ කාලේ තිබ්බ languages or Western and Eastern world. Language the English තියෙනවනේ. Western එකේ and Asian ගත්තොත් Chinese and Hindi use වෙනවා. Hindi නම් India වල but Chinese China. ගොඩක් ලාට Chinese language එක දැන් ගොඩක් students low level වලට A level languages වලට කරන්නේ. Because China is a rising power, global power, so it has some value, can create some value. Then ගොඩක් අපි ගොඩක් transactions and things we are doing, communication we are doing. As a language we use English, as a currency we use dollar, US dollar, but it can change. It can change very කියලා කට්ටිය predict කරනවා. For Mandarin as the language and yuan as the currency. Yuan, Chinese currency. We'll see how what happened. Iran, US war discuss Iran then oil sell yuan, but not for dollars. That's a separate thing. Latin word moment. Right. Okay, මේ calculation එක විදියට exercise 4.2 වල Can you do the second question? Second one. Once you do complete it, just put your answer in the chat. Exercise 4.2. 4.2 was the second one. Okay, Veron's answer is correct. Viduni. No, Viduni's answer is incorrect. Just check. I think you have done a mistake. I'm waiting for Viduni's answer. Just check what is was wrong. So here 600 grams. 600 grams. So you need to apply the values in kilograms. Then what's the value? 0.6. 0.6 kilogram into 5 ms minus 1. Then it's 3 kg ms minus 1 of the final answer. Then do fourth one. Fourth one. Fourth. Second one answer 3, right? 3 kg ms minus 1. Do fourth one and put the answers. Fourth one means What's the answer for fourth question? Yeah, fourth question කරන්න. Click 10 is the time. Miduni Veron just ප්‍රධාන answers. Yeah, Veron answers correct. Yeah, Miduni also. So just simple, right? මේ එකම දෙය කට්ටිය වරද්ද ගන්න මේ gram kilogram in my term test also. Mostly people get wrong because of that. So here the momentum is 6 kgms minus 1. Mass 0.5. Velocity below 1. So divide kgms minus 1, 0.5. Where it is minus 1. So units are really important. The units that you can't get marks, right? Units especially on a කට්ටිය අර ඉතින් හදලා එකපාරට answers දානවා units නැතුව. හරියට මේ units apply කරලම මේක calculation එක කරන්නේ. Then you can get full marks. Okay, then write the subtopic mass and weight. Mass and weight. Right. So what is mass? What is weight? Mass is what? Amount of matter, right? Amount of matter in the object. Huh? The mass of point the mass of an object, the mass of an object is the amount of matter in it. Is the amount of matter in it. Right. Then what is weight? Then what is weight? Weight is the attraction. Weight is a force, right? Attraction force by the earth. Earth taking object attraction. Object 2 kilogram. So this is the mass. Mass is a what? What kind of quantity? This is a scalar quantity, right? Mass is a scalar quantity. Right? No direction. No direction. but weight has a direction and the magnitude. So this is two. This is same one, 2 kilogram one. So this has a downward attraction towards Earth. And the minimum attraction force weight of the object. Right? Weight of the object. So ලියන්න next line, next point. අරකම ලියන්න මේ ඒකෙම ඊළඟ sub next point එක විදිහට ලියන්න. Don't leave rules are in නැතුව just write next rule එකෙන් ලියන්න. The international unit of mass is the kilogram. The international unit of mass is kilogram. It's the kilogram. Right. Then leave one rule. The rule of Carolian. The weight of an object. Is the force with which it is attracted towards Earth. Which it is attracted towards Earth. And then කොහොමද මේ attraction force එක හොයන්නේ? මෙතන force එක මේක අපි name කරනවා weight කියලා. So how to find this force? Force equal MA. Force equals MA. Right? Force equals MA. Then make a downward force. Downward force F equals MA. Downward force. So then M is 2 kilograms. What is the acceleration? So downward හැමතිස්සෙම තියෙන acceleration එකක් තියෙනවා. ඒකට අපි කියනවා මොකක්ද? Gravitational acceleration කියලා. Gravitational acceleration අපි indicate කරනවා G වලින්. Gravitational acceleration G. So my value එක හරිම value එකක් ගත්තොත් it's 9.8 ms minus 2 in Earth. Earth එකේදී ඒක 9.8. Right? හැබැයි මේක අපි calculations වලදී 10 ms minus 2 කියලා use කරනවා. මොකද මේ ඔයාලට calculators use දෙන්නේ දැන් Excel Cambridge වගේ වෙයි නම් මේක 9.88 කියලාම ගන්නවා. But in local syllabus we use as 10, right? But මේක gravity එක Earth එකෙන් but මේක moon එකට වගේ ගියොත් මේ moon surface එක ගත්තොත් මේක සාමාන්‍යයෙන් 10 එක 6 වලින් divide කරාම තමයි අපි කියන්නේ 1.66 වගේ value එකක් තමයි moon surface එකේ. तर මේක planet එකට වෙනස් වෙනවා gravity කියන්නේ. तर Earth එකේ gravitational acceleration එක 10. तर අපි මේක multiply කරනවා 10 ms minus 2 වලින්. Then you get the value for weight 20 ms minus 2. 20 kg ms minus 2. 20 kg ms minus 2. So මේකම තමයි අපිට ලියන්න පුළුවන් 20 නිව්ටන් කියලා. 20 නිව්ටන්. Right. ඊළඟ line ඊළඟ point එක this force කියලා ලියලා brackets එකේ දාන weight කියලා. This force within brackets write weight. This force within brackets weight acting on the object acting on the object acting on the object due to gravitational due to gravitational attraction due to gravitational attraction of the earth due to gravitational attraction of the earth and so gravitational attraction so मैंने මේ මෙතනින් උඩ ටික ලියා ගන්නකො එන්නේ mass මේ තියෙන mass එක මෙතන weight කියන්නේ vector quantity that to Dinishna කියන්නේ Peron okay then we'll go for question. Can you do the question number question number 10 exercise again 96th page do the question number 10 this is quite tricky and read the question very carefully and use all the theories you learn in this lesson and the motion lesson also second lesson with people some more theories මෙතන use and try to find the force exerted on the object. I will give you 10 minutes nearly 10 minutes I will give you because this question is hard then remaining 10 minutes I will explain. Okay, quickly do 10th question last one. So put your answer once you finish privately. Pause. Okay. 1 minute left. It's your answers. Okay, Mithuni gave me answer. Where are so 10th the weight of an object is 5 Newton. 5 Newton, right? So object so its weight is 5 Newton. Yes. So question like this is a huge description, 4 lines, description. So mark data. And then at a certain point, certain instant, its momentum is 6 kgms minus 1. So I will write like this, a path plane. First I draw object like this. So same object, right? Same object. Method में आगे momentum में क्या P equals 6 ने 6 kg ms minus 1. 6 kg ms minus 1. So we don't know the velocity. Velocity is that in again v1 done. And need to pass it due to the force and motion, the velocity is the object decreased to 4 ms minus 1. ඊළඟ level එකේදී මෙතනදී p දන්නේ p2 දන්නේ but velocity they mentioned as v2. What the value? It's 4 ms minus 1. But it takes from this v1 to v2 time taken 4 seconds. 4 seconds are 4 seconds. Open data, then we'll see how to do this. So we need to find V1, we need to find the mass of this, right? Or the momentum again m into v. So we need to find mass. So how to find mass here? You know W equals mg, right? Gravitational acceleration. So W is 5 Newton. Mass I don't know. G is 10. So then it's 0.5 kilogram. 0.5 kilogram is the mass. Right. Then I can find this. 6 divided by 0.5. V1 is 12 ms minus 1. Right. So it turns into 4 ms minus 1 within a 4-second period. Right. So if we know the second time velocity difference, we can find the acceleration, right? දැන් අපි අහන්නේ force එක. ඒතකොට අනිවාර්යෙන් අපිට force එක හොයන්න නම් අපිට තියෙන equation එක මොකද්ද? F equals m into a. මේකනේ තියෙන්නේ අපි. මේකට apply කරන්න නම් අපිට a හොයාගන්න ඕන. You need to find a acceleration. So for that, to find acceleration, we have an equation like this. V2 minus V1 divided by time. Right. So V2 is 4. This is V1 is 12 divided by time 4. So it's minus 8 divided by 4. Final answer is minus 2 ms minus 2. Right. So the acceleration කියලා ගත්තේ forward direction එකකට. හැබැයි අත්‍තරම ගත්තොත් ඒක acceleration එකක් නෙමෙයි deceleration එක. ඒක තමයි minus value එකක් ඇවිල්ලා. but දැන් අපි අහන්නේ deceleration නෙමෙයි ඒ නිසා අපි මේක plus එකකට convert කරගන්නේ නැහැ. ඒක ඔහොම තියෙනවා. minus 2 ms minus 2. then අපි මේ f equals ma apply කරනවා motion එකේ direction එක. motion එක තියෙන ඉස්සරහට ඒ direction එකට f equals ma apply කරනවා. එතකොට f දන්නේ m කියන්නේ 0.5 a කියන්නේ -2 then it's 1 kg ms -2 right. එතකොට ඒ කියන්නේ -1 newton forward direction එකට -1 newton but මේක අපි direction එක මාරු කරොත් force එක එතකොට positive value එකක් ගන්න පුළුවන් 1 newton. So since these are vector quantities, using arrows will be useful for you. ඒක essential නෑ මෙහෙම arrows දාන එක. But ඒක සාමාන්‍ය A level වලදී නම් practice එකක්. අපිට සාමාන්‍යයෙන් කියනවා මුලින් ඉඳලා arrows දාන vector quantity යන arrows දාන ඒතර pattern එක. You can easily do these questions, but without arrows also you can do for all-level questions. But better is practicing. Maybe this is a good practice, right? Putting arrows. Then force එක අපි forward direction කියලා consider කරලානේ මෙතන හැදුවේ. There is -1. But minus value comes means so force actual force to against the motion. So that's why I change the direction of force and put positive value. Put positive value. Right? Positive value. Okay. So after the velocity increase around 12 to 4, 12 to 4 increase වෙනවා කියන්නේ අනිවාර්යෙන් එයා brake apply කරලා කියන්නේ එතන opposite force එකක් ගිහිල්ලා තියෙනවා. Opposite force එකක් ගිහිල්ලා. Right. එතකොට ඔහොම තමයි මේ question එක හදන්නේ. විදුලි I think you mentioned is -1 Newton. Yeah. -1 Newton means for the motion. The motion එක තියෙන direction එකට consider කරොත් it's -1 Newton. ඒක හරියට කියන්න ඕන. Object එක move වෙන direction එකට ගත්තොත් it's -1 Newton. If we change the direction of force, then it's positive 1 Newton. -1 Newton දාන එක much better with the direction. හරියට direction එක හැබැයි කියන්න ඕන. නැත්නම් ටිකක් questionable වෙනවා. Full marks දැනෙනවා. So මේක copy කරගන්න ඔයාලා හදපු ඒවා තියෙනවා නම් ඒකකින් කියලා ඒකට add කරගන්න පුළුවන්. If not fully මේක ලියා ගන්න. This is important as a example, a guided example for your future questions when you do solve some few questions in past paper questions with provincial papers. This method will be important. And quickly copy, and once you finish, put thumbs up. Finish. Okay, then do this exercise, complete this exercise because next week also you don't have the class. So complete this exercise and read friction lesson. So friction lesson also we can complete in one day. Then yeah. Then sixth lesson sixth and seventh chemistry lesson. We'll try to cover this quickly as so much as possible. And next monthly test for you in next June first week. June first week. Regular මේවා fifth lesson, sixth lesson එකත් ඇත්වෙයි. ඒක බලා ගන්න. ready වෙන්න මේ ඔයාලගේ test එකේ marks කලින් April marks I need to put. This may be very we made a big busy. And next before the next class, 23rd class I will put right. Maintenance marks physical class marks but okay, then we will wind up for today. 10:33. We'll wind up, then we'll meet on 23rd. Complete this whole exercise and complete your note. Take Q1, Q2 complete current. Then okay, we'll meet on 23rd. Bye and good night.